Hi guys, welcome to the Human and the Machine crypto channel, where we talk to the teams developing some of the hottest and newest services in the DeFi space around the world. With me, my co-host, Hikaru, aka The Machine, a crypto junkie with a golden brain.
And this is T, just a simple human keeping up with the crazy world of crypto.
And it's not easy, man. It's not easy, but I'm trying. Anyway, today, how are you, by the way? All good?
I'm very well. And you?
Yeah, doing fine, man. Crazy week. Anyway, but today we have Mr. Gregor Arn. He is the CEO of Verso. Verso is a decentralized financial product marketplace connecting the DeFi to traditional finance. So, Gregor, thank you very much for being with us, man.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for
Yeah, are
having me.
you ready? Could you please tell us? I already said in our version, what Verso is, but we would like to hear from you. Imagine a 6 years old is waiting, like looking at you, is like, please tell me what Verso is. Go ahead, bro.
Yes. So, okay. So with Verso, we are basically making it very simple for, for digital wallet providers and for banks to offer you additional products. And like if you're a 6-year-old, then maybe let's use the example. Let's say you have stored $10 and you want to put the $10 in a piggy bank so that it generates maybe some revenues, some returns. So Verso enables you, if you have a digital wallet, that you can put $10, $20, $50, whatever it is, into a separate product, and you generate the yield on that, a little interest, and you may have more in a week or in 2 weeks, depending on how long you can wait.
Okay. So you gave us just a use case, right? Just one problem your technology Verso is solving. Could you tell us other problems? Like what problems overall is Verso resolving? Because there's a lot of things that we know you are resolving at once. So we want to hear from that.
Yes. So that's, yeah. So if we zoom out a little bit, like maybe a 35,000 feet view, the reality is that microfinance is a tremendous opportunity. And it is important for millions of people around the world, specifically in emerging markets. And when I say microfinance, I'm really talking about, let's say, a 3-day travel insurance to insure your luggage. Or I'm talking about an instant loan of $100. I'm talking about these products that are very useful on the spot, right now, right then and there. But the challenge with a lot of these products, they are very difficult to bring to the consumer. As you can imagine, if you are like, as an insurance company, if you are offering a 3-day travel insurance, the cost you or the margin you make on that product is so little that you can only scale this if you can reach many people. And a lot of people today, they're using, digital wallets, they're using mobile banking apps. But in order to integrate with all of these products individually, that is such a massive overhead and so complex, and not even talking about the regulatory aspects. So as a result, all these great products and all this degree of innovation cannot be brought to the end consumer because of the complexity involved with the distribution. And that's what we solve with Verso. So we'll basically leverage, like blockchain technology to remove all the intermediaries and create a platform where an insurance company, where a lending company can create a product on the platform, and that gets distributed to users with different e-wallets, with different banks in different countries. So in a very scalable and seamless manner.
That sounds great. You talked about regulations, and I think that's a huge problem, right? Could you talk a little bit more about it and how you go around it?
Yes, I'm happy to elaborate on that. So first off, Verso is specifically built for the regulated industry. And what that means is that the e-wallets and the banks that connect to Verso, they have a certain degree of confidence that the products they receive from Verso have been vetted. So maybe I'll just walk you through an example. Let's say we have an insurance company or a lending provider, to use that example, a lending provider that wants to offer a micro loan of $50. That lending provider creates a product on the Verso platform and says, product is an instant loan, $50. It will get distributed to everybody who is between 25 and 29 years old, who lives in this and in that country. Very similar to placing a Facebook ad. So you can set your criteria. But before the product is available for e-wallets and banks to download, there is a validation process. And this validation process is also carried out by licensed companies, and they validate a couple of things. So first of all, they validate that the product is legit, that the company that is offering the product is licensed to offer that product as well, and is licensed to also offer it in specific markets. But also that the product is labeled according to all the standards that are set out by Verso. So as an example, you can't create a lending product that turns out to be an insurance product, or vice versa. So it's like all about transparency and about applying the standards that Verso sets in order to instill confidence. With the regulated industry, it is a reputational business. So it is very important that the platform provides a certain standard and confidence to all the participants. And the benefit for the regulated e-wallets and banks is that they can pick from a range of different products based on what they feel comfortable with. So as an example, Verso hosts microfinance and microloans from traditional financial service providers, but you will also find products from DeFi space, like decentralized finance products on the Verso platform, like a peer-to-peer borrowing, peer-to-peer lending product, or like a yield generating product. And an e-wallet provider that is, operating in a market that is more open towards like DeFi, as an example, they can retrieve these products as well. But if you're an e-wallet provider and you're a bit more hesitant, you may just want to stick with the centralized finance regulated products first. And then maybe you want to start with one type of DeFi products, and maybe you want to roll it out only to a few users first. So it really leaves the degree of adoption to the e-wallets based on their on their roadmap in terms of adoption.
Got it. Any questions here, Hikaru?
Yeah, no, I was wondering, the breadth and flexibility of the marketplace is quite vast. How do you differentiate your platform, say, compared to similar projects or even marketplaces doing the similar model?
Yeah. So Verso is really exclusively built for the regulated industry. So we are not a B2C platform. So a consumer does not go on Verso and buy a product on the platform themselves. It is a B2B platform. So that's, I think, the first main differentiator. And the second one, it is exclusively for the regulated industry. So we're not building something that only lives within the DeFi world. We are building something that basically connects to centralized finance, and therefore regulation is a very big part of the whole design.
I have a question. Normally, traditional businesses, traditional finances, they're hesitant about this kind of thing. I'm sure you have been talking to a lot of people, right, to interest them in Verso. How have they responded?
Yes. So the reason for hesitance can have very different, root causes. It could be based on where you operate as a business from a regulatory perspective, but it could also be simply that you like the degree of agreements and integrations you need with other parties, that it just doesn't make sense if you are not a super large e-wallet, as an example. So like there's various levels of why certain things have been slow in terms of adoption. But what I can share is that a lot of the e-wallets that we have been speaking to, and they're mainly in emerging markets, there is a very strong interest for that. And we also kind of see the indication by some of the players that have started to move in that direction. So as an example, a Grab in Singapore, they are partnering also with insurance providers and also I think technology provided by Songan Insurance to offer these microservices. And that's possible because Grab is super big. But what about all the others? There are like worldwide, we have like 3,500 different e-wallets. 99% of them are not interoperable. They don't talk to one another. And if you imagine if all of these wallets want to bring these great products to their users, they would have to start talking to all those insurance companies, to all the lending providers, and that's just like, it doesn't make sense unless you are really a super big platform.
Sure. And this is going to be like all weird because I didn't even ask you how you are. So I'm very sorry about that. I didn't ask you about your background. But this next question, I come from Mexico, right? So it's a third world country, emerging economy. And I like how you are talking about microservices, microfinancial services that are not available to the normal person. I mean, even like the tiniest of things in these kind of countries are like, they're just so far away from the normal people, right? So I'll tie this part with your background and how is or why is that you become interested in this kind of scenarios, right? Like where do you come from? What is that got you interested into this and why emerging markets?
Yeah, it's a great question. So like to connect the dots, and first off, I've never planned to be here at this point. it just kind of happened. But I come from a finance and consulting background, originally from Switzerland, but I moved to Asia in 2010 because one of my clients was there while I was still working in the consulting world. And one of the first things that I was really intrigued by in Asia was the general appetite for innovation. Right? You're bringing a new product out to the market and people generally perceive it with open arms. It could be a new opportunity. It could be, it could be useful, right? Whereas in Europe or in North America, the first thing you face is like resistance. People are saying like, why do I need it? What's the point? What are you doing differently?
So true.
And just to put things in perspective, that was like the time when, I think Facebook was everywhere. Instagram had like less than 100 million users around 2012, 2013. Most people were using chat apps, different chat apps, Viber in Philippines, WeChat, WhatsApp, etc. I think Salo in Vietnam wasn't even there yet. So it was a very different time. But what really got me hooked in this whole space was, and I think it was like 2013 when, WeChat started to integrate TenPay. And that was really kind of the first time in the world where you had money and financial aspects combined with a chat message capability. And that to me seemed like a complete game changer. A lot of businesses, they start on a conversational level, or even not just businesses, even like within communities and within families. But whenever it comes to money and finance, it is completely detached and it is cold. It is not related to the conversation. So that got me really hooked, and I quit my job and I went to the Philippines and I started a social payments app. And that was in 2014. And it was essentially to bring small value payments to people, specifically the Filipinos that live overseas that want to, help a cousin or a family member with $10. We faced a lot of challenges because the infrastructure was not there to send small amounts of money cross-border. And we got to a point where we decided to actually solve and tackle the problem ourselves. And it took years of, figuring out regulatory frameworks, building the right infrastructure. But eventually we built a company. Today it's called Wallet Engine, and they're providing in-app wallets for apps that have users in multiple markets. And that really led to the idea of that there is much more needed for the industry, because wallets are so much more useful than just to store money. They can be the ones that offer these microfinance products. And the big advantage to people is when it comes to financial products, insurance, lending products, etc., it involves trust. It needs to be convenient. And if you already are using an existing e-wallet, whether it's one provided by Wallet Engine or whether it's another e-wallet, it is really the most convenient way to just use the existing wallet to purchase these financial products. And that's why we decided to actually build Verso together with partners as well. So Verso is an industry solution that connects all these microfinance products to the existing wallets. So that's a quick summary, but it's basically connecting the dots.
Okay.
It's everything led to the next level in a way, and it was never planned. And to be honest, I also can't say what is in 10 years. We'll try to be nimble and remain nimble so that we can bring the products to people, the products that matter to people.
Cool. Hikaru, I think you want to talk a little bit about partners, right?
Yeah, exactly. Partners. And, before we actually even get there, right, I do like how we talked about infrastructure, tapping into real communities on a global scale. And you already have a lot going. Related to this, right, I do want to ask you, because I did see this across your, content. What does embedded finance really mean? And put simply, why embedded finance? And what does it mean for your users and partners?
Yeah, good question. So embedded finance, in essence, is about bringing financial services to non-financial user experiences. So in other terms, if you are using a game app as an example, and you want to pay someone within this game for a tip, you should be able to do this within the user experience during the game. And that transaction from user to user within that game is an example of embedded finance. Another example is if you are, let's say you're browsing hotels or anything on a travel website, and you purchase an insurance for that trip. That's also an example of embedded finance. So essentially, it's bringing financial products to non-financial apps. And the reason why it's important is, number one, it's convenience. Number two, it opens up new revenue opportunities for apps, but also for people. One of the best examples is the recent emerging content creator and streaming economy. And if you imagine you are a host and you have an audience that is in 50 different countries, 1,000 people, if these people would be able to pay you $1 or 10 cents, whatever it is, you have a complete new business model and you have a revenue source. And these type of interactions, one too many, we haven't been able to tap these. And that's an example where embedded finance comes in.
Got it. Yeah, it sounds like there's lots of moving parts, right? Just even within that. Essentially, right, when you do this, you're going to need a very scalable infrastructure and the tech behind it. So, I'm going to get a little bit techie here, but why did Verso choose Avalanche out of all of the blockchains out there?
Yeah. So one of the challenges when it comes to microfinance is the ability to move money in a cost-effective manner. And as you can imagine, if you are offering a microloan of $20 and the fees you're charging on Ethereum, that just does not make any sense. So we needed a solution that can handle high volume, low value transfers. And Avalanche is is really perfect for that. It allows scale, and it also allows to innovate future products. So that's one of the main reasons why we chose Avalanche. But then there is also some other aspects. But who knows how all these different blockchains evolve down the road? I mean, if at some point other blockchains are able to offer high volume, low value transactions in a cost effective manner, then we are very happy to tap into these as well. But it is really a key design principle, that capability to offer the services that we want to offer.
Cool, very nice. Man, where do you see the convergence of traditional finances and DeFi heading in the next 5 years? I mean, you are spearheading this, so where you want to see it?
Yeah. So one of the when we designed the Verso platform, we really deliberately said it has to work for centralized finance and for decentralized finance. And the reason for that is because we see a lot of products coming in, in the next, I guess, year or two, that are kind of a hybrid. So to give you an example, if let's say you are an insurance provider and you have an insurance product, but you don't necessarily want to underwrite the entire product by yourself. So that would be an excellent case where DeFi can help as well. So if you have people that underwrite certain insurance products, but then you still have the insurance company that takes over the rest, then you kind of have a new world when it comes to reinsurance. So there is a lot of overlap and hybrid products we see down the road, where the DeFi and the CeFi world actually, can add value in combining some of their capabilities. And that's one of the key reasons why we said Verso has to work for both, for CeFi and for DeFi.
Okay, so it's a world where it's synergy, right? One is not going to stop existing because the other one is rising.
Yeah, I mean, there's still very different products. I mean, today in the DeFi world, like I can borrow money, but I have to provide a collateral that is double of the money that I borrow. So it's over collateralized, and that's just like if you apply this to real world examples, like let's say the Philippines or Mexico, right? If somebody needs $100 loan, you're not going to put $200 in as a collateral. That just does not make any sense. So I think we still have two different use cases, but we will see, I think a convergence from the two worlds into new products that will actually tackle these real world issues as well.
Cool, man. As you know, Human and Machine, this channel has an audience in China. It's spread in a lot of different places. So what would be the message, your message versus message to China users?
Yeah, so Verso is all about bringing relevant products to the users. And, we are always super keen to hear from people what they need. So as you can imagine, like Verso, we're looking at various partners, like from insurance companies to lending providers, e-savings companies, etc., etc. But the more input we have from the community, from people that that live day to day and need financial products, the better we can also help shape the platform and kind of prioritize the partnerships we want to enter with. As I said, like it is important for us that eventually people that have e-wallets and bank accounts, that they can tap additional financial products that make sense to them on a day-to-day, with the convenience of using their existing wallets.
I love that, man. That's really, really nice. Any questions, Machine?
Yeah, I mean, speaking of all of these products, right, coming out, seems like there will be a lot of partnerships as well. What hot announcements can your community expect in the coming weeks or months?
Yes, so there is a whole lot of announcements coming. So I think one of the first ones that you will hear is about some major partnerships that we will be announcing. We have a very aggressive roadmap. Um, to give you a little bit of a hint, we will be able to offer the first product delivered through the Verso network by the end of the year through an existing wallet. So it's a very aggressive roadmap. And along the way, obviously, we will have some very interesting announcements as well to share.
Great. Yeah, I am personally excited as well to see those happening.
Yeah, and as we always tell our guests, we hope to see you again, like in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, because we want to follow up. We don't just want to like, like what's hot, what's your plan, what's the dream, and then no one knows what happened, right? Like people tend to forget about. You get interviewed at the beginning, and if you had success. And I'm sure you will, and we wish you the very best. But that roadmap you're talking about, we know that it's very aggressive, and we would like to hear as you roll it out how it goes, what happens, right? So if you're okay, we would love to have you again in the near future. So you tell us a little bit more about how Verso is doing in the real world. What do you think?
I would be happy to do that and happy to give you more details of what's coming down the road once we are there. But right now, it's time for us to work hard and get to this first milestone. And I'm very happy to chat again.
Thanks a lot, man. Thanks, Greg. Anything else, Mr. Machine?
No, I think that's it. Yeah.
Thank you very much, man. It was great talking with you. Loved the idea, loved your product. And again, we wish you the very best, man.
Thank you very much. Great talking to you as well.
Okay. Take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
See you next time.
Mr. Machine. Thoughts, bro.
Yeah, I do like how, Gregor is coming from a very traditional, finance background, and he really does see the problems, right, in our current infrastructure. And using the innovative blockchain technology, DeFi, I think he's just kind of like, meet in the middle, offering the best solutions for existing businesses, right, who also shouldn't be left out. So, yeah, I really think this will be massive, especially because on a global scale. It's addressing, not only developed countries, but developing third world countries. There's more than 1.7 billion people out there without even like bank accounts, right? So it is a very long-term project, but I really believe that it can change the world over time.
Yeah. I was just thinking how, like we always try. Today, I almost forgot, right? Like, to know a little bit of the background of people, right? A lot of people, when they're in the tech industry and they come from places like Switzerland, right? They tend to be very traditional and they tend to think about certain markets. But by him being stationed in China, in Asia, right? The Philippines and so on, like he got this idea of bringing these two worlds together, like really serve people. Because at the end, that's what he's doing, right? When he talks about a Filipino needing $10, some people will be like, what do you mean by $10, right? But it can be a massive, massive lifesaver for some people when they are like far away in a different country and they may not have even something to eat, right?
Yeah, exactly. And, right now in the industry, the main problem is you have like DeFi on one end of the spectrum, just in its own little industry, right? Like tiny, tiny. And you have the traditional finance worth like trillions of dollars and still not catching up. So once this conversion does happen, real adoption is taking place, right? As his company previously did with their wallet and so forth, I think the implications would be massive, like truly massive.
Well, we have heard that they actually are like probably the hottest thing out there right now, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone has like high hopes. Everyone is trying to like get involved in one way or the other. So very good chances for them to have a really bright future.
Exactly, yeah. There's definitely lots of moving parts, not only on the tech level, but also legal and so forth.
Yeah.
But again, they're building a real foundation and infrastructure marketplace. So yeah, happy to, catch up with them in a few months or so.
Yeah. And did you notice that I got, hey, that's a very good question. You got one and I got one. So I'm improving, man. You see?
Yeah.
And I like the micro service of sending $1 to Tlawi. He doesn't need it, right? Like he has such a great brain. He doesn't need those things. But I'll be happy to receive your $1. Anyway, so anything else, bro?
I think that's it for this time.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And as usual, I always forget, but please don't forget, like it, share it, and hit that button and subscribe it. Really hit it hard so that machine knows you mean it. Thank you very much and have a beautiful, beautiful day from human and machine.
See you next time.
See ya. Bye-bye.